Horizon Forbidden West was one of the most anticipated games of the year. But does it live up to the hype? And is it accessible? Let's talk about it. As always, I'm going to start with my general review for everybody else who does not need the accessibility portion of the review. Reviewing this game generally for me was a bit different than my other reviews because I wanted to take the story as it was and sit with it after beating the game, so I could properly communicate with y'all all of the things story-wise that I, as a black woman, had red flags on without being too spoilery. I think this is gonna be the first time that I really do a deeper review other than, it was fun and the gameplay was fun and I highly recommend it 2-3 minutes ish. This isn't going to be that. So again, I'm not gonna have any spoilers in here, but if you guys want to skip this part, there will be chapters, so that's for y'all. But don't worry, if you want to hear some of my complaints and gripes as a woman of color, no spoilers here. So let's talk about it. The game visually is beautiful. The uses of the vibration mechanics on the PS5 are incredibly detailed. I would say it's close to Ratchet and Clank in terms of how detailed the vibration is in the environment. You can feel every machine movement, every gallop, every tech movement. It's incredible for immersion and accessibility. And as always, the cast performed what they were given beautifully. But as I said, there were some red flags in the story that made me uncomfortable. I'm aware that racism, lore-wise, apparently isn't a concept in this world. But this doesn't change the fact that there are people of color in the real world, experiencing the real world, playing your game. And I believe as a creative, you have to be sensitive towards these things. Aloy in the first game was essentially moving through the world of the game on her own, and naturally had a hero complex of having to do everything on her own, even though the writers in the first game made it a focal point through Rost, her dad, that the goal was for her to learn to lean on the tribe, become a part of the tribe, and lean on her companions. I allowed a pass in the first game in this development concept because she had a little growth towards the end, and there was plenty of room for growth given that there was a second game to be made. But there was very little to no progress being made on this front in the second game. Aloy's friends were there, and they offered help. But it's not as if she happily accepted or even grew to happily accept it. In fact, it made her complex even worse. If the message of the first game is Aloy trusts the tribe, this game was Aloy builds the tribe, but doesn't willfully lean on them, and only grows in that aspect towards one other white human who shall not be named for the sake of spoilers. Because of this, the repeated expression of her hero complex, coupled with her occasional disrespect of the cultures and customs around her, made her sound like a whiny child. And by the end of the game, I kind of empathized with Silence and his occasional annoyance at Aloy. What perhaps has been the most painstaking thing about this game series overall is that a lot of these glaring character issues could be told in a much more interesting manner if Aloy was a black woman. And this problem really reared its head in Forbidden West. Aloy is born an outcast because she doesn't have a mom. Throughout the first game, you're called an outsider. People don't warm up to you easily. To give y'all some things for background for this. These things fit the way Black people are treated in real life. And when the narrative is presented through the lens of white, red-haired Aloy, it feels like a shallow white savior attempt on a great concept. I mean, Gaia, the AI that is in charge of replenishing the planet, is a Black woman. Like, if the possibility to make Aloy and Elizabeth a Black woman at the beginning of the development of this game was a snake, it would have bit you in the face. There were some of Aloy's interactions with silence in this game that made me downright uncomfy while playing this game. Watching a white woman speak to a Black man in that manner, and again, there's a missed opportunity due to her being white to explore the relationship between a Black man and a Black woman and their growth in trusting each other and acknowledging each other's genius. There are two antagonists in this game, one of which is a dark-skinned woman, Black woman, and someone I grew to understand and like. And there was a missed opportunity with her storyline to really dig deep, discuss her motives, to get down to the very real, very valid reasons for her pain and actions. Instead, choosing to leave those reasons in the background and paint her as a savage. There are many instances in this game where people of color become the needlessly sacrificed stepping stone for Aloy to save the planet. And it unfortunately overshadows the game's message about the planet and the tribe. If you guys want me to go into more spoilery detail, you can get this video to like 50 likes and I'll dive into it in another video. That being said, I'm gonna pull an IGN for the first time ever and give the game's story like a 3 out of 10. But the accessibility, however, is a different story. So let's dive into that. I am happy to report that the accessibility menu in this game is beefy, so please bear with me. Y'all know that I like to do deep menu dives. The accessibility is at the forefront when you first start the game. You have 2 different modes for exploration: Guided and Explorer. Guided gives you access to quest logs and waypoints and tips. Explorer gives you a blank slate. So if you just want to walk around the world and explore without waypoints and everything else, you can do that as well. There's also multiple difficulty levels ranging from story to very hard, even to custom. Going into the accessibility menu, we have difficulty options including custom. I put an example of like a custom, what would be considered an accessible, very hard difficulty in the custom realm, if you will, as a screenshot for you guys to see. Concentration duration, which slows down everything when you're aiming with your bow to make objects easier to hit, which is not a good substitute for auto aim or auto target, but we'll get to that in a minute. Easy loot, which is basically automatic looting. It makes picking up stuff from machines easier. Auto concentration, which will automatically slow down everything when you aim instead of toggling it on or off. Auto heal, which I feel I must be detailed with this. Auto heal only activates when Aloy is below 50% of her health, and when she has berries in her pouch. She does not, it's not an immortal mode. She does not automatically heal herself all the time. There has to be berries in the pouch. There has to be below 50% health. So, yeah. Quest path and way path finding on or off toggles. HUD visibility, contextual reminders, which will remind you of everything that you can do in an area. Weapon wheel slowdown, which slows down time when you're changing weapons. Auto shield wing, which automatically activates Aloy's glider when she's jumping from high places. You have your quick time settings. You can choose to hold the quick times. You can choose to toggle them. You can choose to have them be done for you. There's the ability to make your mount follow the road, although this is just a follow the road option. It does not automatically take you to a waypoint. It's not like Far Cry and auto drive, right? Or like Watch Dogs and auto drive, right? You can't like set a path on the map and be like, I want to go to this point, and then grab a mount and go there without having to press a button. It just allows them to follow the road. That does not mean that the driving controls are difficult. If I can do it, y'all can probably do it. I suck at driving most things. Mounts, for some reason, I'm pretty okay with. If you speed by most things, you'll be all right. There's no colorblind modes at all, unfortunately. There is, however, a co-pilot option which allows you to play with a friend. You'll have to set up a separate controller profile for this, but I am going to test it out with a friend. I might do a little video for that. We might test it out on stream, and then I'll put it up on YouTube for y'all to see so we can test out the co-pilot mode. Let me know in the comments if y'all would like to see that. But yes, there is a co-pilot mode for you to play with your friend on the PS5 if you need extra assistance, or if you just want to pass the controller virtually, quote unquote, with a friend. In the controls menu, you have full button configuration for every action that you would like to do in the game. Camera controls, vibration controls, hold and toggle options for all your buttons, aim assist, which again is not auto aim. Didn't help me much when aiming the bow with my right hand in any noticeable way, even with the concentration. Please add auto target. I'm begging. Please. It's already there. You can already tag the enemies. Just like implement an auto targeting system to go with the tagging of the machines. I beg. I plead. That would be so great. There's weapon quick swap. There's auto sprint on foot and on your mount. Swap move and look, which means while you're aiming, you can use the left joystick instead of the right, or vice versa, or you can keep them swapped during the whole game, whatever fits your fancy. In the audio section, you have subtitle size from default to extra large. Unfortunately, there are no subtitles previews for that. If they could add that in an update, I'm sure that would be very appreciated, so people know what size they're picking before they jump into gameplay. Of course, you have your mix controls. You can pretty much handle the volume of everything, like even the machines, the background environment. It's quite detailed, so you can handle the volume of each thing. Tinnitus on and off, where you can turn off the ringing effects that happen in Aloy's ears when there's a big machine attack. For camera, you have climbing annotations on and off, which means that the climbing handholds, you can see them all the time. You can choose to see them all the time if you want to, or you can turn them off. Motion blur on and off camera shake on and off for underwater and on land. How did all these options stack up in gameplay, you ask? Well, for me, there were a couple places where it was lacking in navigation features and long-range weapon use. Target lock would have been more helpful to me personally than the aim assist in high-pressure situations, especially towards the beginning and the middle of the game where there are particular fights that focus on bow use. There are visual indicators for attacks, so it is death-friendly in that aspect. Could you play this game if you were completely blind? Though probably not. Navigation-wise, the only complaint that I had for myself was that the focus function that reveals the climbing handholds doesn't show the climbing handholds inside buildings when you're right outside of a building. I'd love it if you pointed your focus at the building to look for something and it lowered the opacity of the building and showed you the handholds and where they were inside. The world is rich in vegetation and detail, and I feel like the navigation should reflect that. There's also a missed opportunity to add sound cues for ease of navigation for blind players as well. As always, accessibility is a spectrum, so feel free to borrow a copy from a friend if you aren't sure that you can play. Overall, while there is much to be improved upon in the story, the myriad of accessibility options is a good change in pace for the Horizon games, and it can only improve. And I hope that as Aloy's saga continues, Guerrilla has not only disabled players at the table providing input for these games, but POC players as well. My love for this series runs deep, and I only want the best for it, and hopefully we can make some turns around in story while also keeping with the accessibility momentum. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me in the comments what your thoughts were about Forbidden West, and remember, you deserve accessibility that's on the level. Peace out.